What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? And welcome back to TD Phins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We are live here on April the 8th, 2020, almost at the 5:30 p.m. hour here on the East Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, I'm in Florida, just beautiful days. And I ask everyone to make sure that they're being mindful of taking care of themselves and their families during these hard times that a lot of people are going through, especially up north. You're in our prayers and all around the world. We wish everyone the best. I'm glad that we get an opportunity to continue the series. Now, this is the Miami Dolphins Get to Know Your Team series. We already did the quarterback. So if you didn't see that video, you got to go back and check out the quarterback video, breaking down all the quarterbacks that are currently on this roster and who they are, where they came from, and what their future projection is looking like with the Miami Dolphins. But today, we go a little bit behind the quarterback, the guy who sits behind the quarterback, reading the defense and looking for holes and just trying to make a big play for the team and balance the game with the time of possession and the first downs. We're talking about the running backs, ladies and gentlemen. The room is full. Yes, the room is full at the running back position. It is crazy in Miami, guys, but we're going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you why the room may not be as full as it seems and why it may be more full than it seems. So we're going to discuss all those details. Before we do, make sure you guys go check out the Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, I appreciate your dedication to the channel and your support as well. But if you're not a Patreon, it's something you may want to go look into. Look at the link below in the comment section. It definitely helps TD FINSTALK, and it does show your support. Not forcing anybody, but it is an option I want to make sure that you're aware of. Also, you can check me out on Twitter at TD FINSTALK. Instagram is TD FINSTALK. Facebook is TD FINSTALK. What else? Is there anything else? Everything I'm on is TD FINSTALK pretty much. So you can check me out on almost every single platform, at least the main ones. I'm going to be branching out to a few more in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, one more thing, because I want to make sure I brought to your attention. Right after this stream, I'm going to be joining a good buddy of mine, Josh Ferris, on Dolphin Addicts. And we're going to be doing a show, and we have OJ McDuffie and Richmond Webb that's going to be on the show. So if you want to come on over, make sure you go to Facebook, Dolphin Addicts. I will be on the show having a conversation with OJ McDuffie and Richmond Webb. So y'all come check it out, man. It should be pretty good. I can't wait to talk to some of the legends in the game, guys, especially in Miami history. Let me see, TikTok, TD FINSTALK. Yeah, I need to get my TikTok going. My kids been trying to teach me a lot of those new TikTok dances and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't have much time because I have to make that next appointment. So I want to try to get through these running backs. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to take my time and make sure I get through it the right way. Hopefully we end up with enough time on this stream to go through it. Now, in regards to the running backs, guys, now, please forgive me. I know a lot of people may want to come through and have a conversation with me. But during this series, I usually don't bring anyone on. I'm just talking and I'm letting y'all know. It's almost like, even though I'm live right now, it's almost like I kind of treat it like it was pre-recorded, because I just give the information and the breakdown for you to understand the players on this roster. All right. So without further ado, don't feel like I'm being rude if I miss your comment. Of course, if you donate, not trying to force you to, I'm just saying, if I see the color on the screen, I will address it. But outside of that, please allow me to educate the fan base of the Miami Dolphins that don't know much about these running backs that we have on this roster. Now, first and foremost, we have six running backs on this roster. 6. I'm going to give y'all about 30 seconds. Who can name all 6 running backs, man? Who can put the last names for all 6 running backs in the comment section right now? And the truth is, I know some of you all will try, and then there will be a few that you shake your head and you'll go on your phone and Google who else is on the depth chart. But a lot of people don't even know that we have 6 on the roster. A lot of people don't even know we have 6 on the roster. A matter of fact, the only thing they care about are probably the top 4 and don't care about who else is signed to this roster. But that's not what we do, guys. That's not what we do. We break down every single player, because if we're going to bring them in, even if they're a no name, there's a reason we brought them in. You don't just bring in blank talent and say, hey, we just need a guy for the practice squad. No, you bring in the best guy available, even if he's going to be designated for practice squad, because you want to work with every player on the roster, even if they don't make the 55-man cut now, no longer 53, even if they don't make the 55. So if they're on the practice squad, that's development, because you never know when their number will get called to be pushed up, okay? Somebody had a go at it. They said Ballage, Laird, Gaskins, okay. Cox, not included. That's a fullback. Howard, that's all I can. Oh, you're missing a few. You're missing a few. All right, you're missing DeLance. Let me see. Who else is he missing? I think Vanilla, you're missing DeLance. All right. That's the only one that you're missing. But anyway, let's dive right in, guys. Everybody's getting 5. I think y'all missing DeLance. All right, we're gonna go through it. There we go. Rip got it. DeLance Turner. All right, here we go. But first and foremost, we're gonna start at the top of the charts with running back Jordan Howard. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our starter. But before we even dive into him being our starter, let's learn a little bit about running back Jordan Howard before he even came into the NFL. Right now, we know he's 25 years old. In college, he was first team All Big Ten, 5th round pick, 150th in the 2016 draft. Now, this isn't a blue chip day one, first round running back, second round running back. This is a 5th round pick. At the 150th pick in the 2016 draft. Now, he's been on 3 NFL teams, the Bears, the Eagles, and now the Dolphins. The scouts had this to say about Jordan Howard coming out of college: a stocky, powerful back who can run through contact or around it. That's what I love to hear, okay? Because we need a more physical back in our backfield. Also, a downhill north-south runner who makes his living between the tackles. Another beautiful thing, making a living between the tackles, because when you have good defensive ends that can set the edge, you need running backs who can cut back or just force it down the middle, running between those tackles. Running the inside zone play out of the spread formation, which is interesting. That's a more depth conversation to understand schematics on that, guys. So we'll probably address that later. Not shy about delivering a blow to a tackler, which I love. He initiates contact. He has good vision and patience, has the lower body strength and leg drive to move the pile. A bend and weave open field runner with some shape to elude tacklers. Game is more straight ahead power. Drives legs on contact, runs behind pads with a good body lean, vision and ability to find and hit a crease. A good short yardage and goal line runner. He follows and utilizes his blockers, gains yards after the initial hit, finishes runs with authority, makes aggressive 2-3 yard runs. Needs to improve as a blocker and pass receiver. Set single season rushing record at Alabama Birmingham in 2014 with 1,587 yards. His 2015 stats before entering the league was 1,213 yards on 6.2 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, 11 receptions for 106 yards and 1 touchdown. They projected this kid to go in the 3rd or 4th round, and he slid to the 5th. Okay? He slid to the 5th round. Okay? Now, let's talk about his career. Let's talk about his career in the NFL. We're talking about, I want y'all to keep in mind, we're talking about a 5th round pick this entire time. Now, a 5th round pick isn't supposed to come into this league and shock everybody and do some of the things that Jordan Howard was able to do. Now, first of all, Howard posted consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons under former head coach John Fox in 2016 with 1,313 yards. Let me say that again, okay? In 2016, rookie season, 1,313 yards. In the very next year, in 2017, he posted 1,122 yards. So we're talking about first 2 seasons in the NFL rushing over 1,000 yards, not just hitting 1,000 like 1,026 like a lot of backs. No, 1,300 solid and 1,100 solid. Now, while he ran for 935 yards in 2018, so as you can see, the production has been slowly going down. But 935 yards in 2018 isn't just this easy pushover, okay? That's a 1,000-yard rusher, if you ask me. Basically, in those 3 years, he averaged about 1,150 yards a season. That's what you call a running back that you want to have on your roster. And once again, we're talking about a 5th-round pick, not a second and not a first. This is the type of production that coaches can only hope that a 1st or a 2nd-round pick can give them starting out the gate like that. He did it right away coming out of the 5th round, okay? Now, he ran for 3.7 yards a carry in 2018, but that was down from his 2016 rookie debut of 5.2 yards per carry. And the very next season, 4.1 yards per carry. So again, as a career rusher, he's somewhere about 4.5 yards per carry, give or take. All right. That is a good number to have as a running back. That puts you among some of the best in the league that has as many rushes as he's had. There's some that get 6 yards per carry, but they don't have as much sample size. All right. Now, the problem with the Bears situation is simply that they had a change of the coach. Under John Fox, he was thriving as a young running back. It was that easy. Under John Fox, he was thriving as a running back, and all of a sudden, they had a coaching change, and his production started to come down because not only did they have a coaching change, but the whole offensive system changed. And it went to a system that does not suit Jordan Howard to his biggest strengths. It just doesn't. So that's one of the main things that came out of the reason why his production started to fall in that last season, in which he still posted 935 yards, might I add, ladies and gentlemen. He still posted 935, okay? Now, they ended the speculation about trading him because everybody knew Matt Nagy's offensive scheme just didn't fit his, okay? Now, they traded him to the Eagles, all right? They traded him to the Eagles. Now, the issue with the Eagles is when he first got traded to the Eagles, he looked just fine. He was the starting running back in 8 games, I believe. He posted over 500 yards, so he was on pace to getting right back to the 1,000-yard running back. But now he's facing his first major injury in the NFL. He faced his first major injury in the NFL. And when that injury came in, the rookie Myles Sanders took over, and the rookie Myles Sanders hit the ground where Jordan Howard left off. See, that's what'll bite you in this game. Because I'm going to show you something interesting here. You have a running back in Jordan Howard who has put in 3 years of good pro football. You know what? Let me not say good. I would actually say on the bottom end of great. 3 years of great football as a running back, and all of a sudden, one injury in week 8 of the season, and a rookie comes in and they shine as well. In their relief, Boston Scott shines. It basically leaves you expendable. But some of you all may say, but hold on, it might be more to this. Why would he be left expendable if he's that good? Look, he 2 seasons, over 1,000. Then he ran for 935. Then he was on his pace for the 1,000 again. Why wouldn't they keep him? Because, ladies and gentlemen, he got injured on his 4th season. And the replacement running backs that came in, he was due his first contract. This was his opportunity to get his first real payday. So if you look at it from the Eagles standpoint, he's a hell of a back. But at the end of the day, when he went out, rookie Myles Sanders shined. And he's a rookie. We got 4 more years of this rookie. Maybe we need to just go with the rookie and allow and release, go ahead and let Jordan Howard go. And that's how it went down, ladies and gentlemen. They chose to go with the young guy who got a shot in 8 games when Jordan Howard went down, instead of paying Jordan Howard the money, because the Eagles are always pretty bent out of shape about money. Okay. So what ended up happening? Thus, the Miami Dolphins did their homework, did their research, and they said we have to be better at the position. Even though we know a lot of what had to do with last year had to do with the O-line, we still have to do better at the position. They brought this guy in knowing that he's definitely going to upgrade our running back room. Jordan Howard is an immediate upgrade to our running back room, and he is our day one starter as of right now. He will be competing in camp with if we do get a rookie high in the first round. But at the end of the day, even if we get a rookie high in the first round, Swift, Taylor, whoever it may be, I still believe going into next season, Jordan Howard at this point will be the Miami Dolphins starting running back. He is signed on a 2-year, $9.75 million contract by the Dolphins, only 1 year guarantee, which is $4.75 million with zero cap hit next year. So this is a 1-year project. Prove it. This is a Devontae Parker deal, ladies and gentlemen. Remember we got rid of Jay Ajayi? Jay Ajayi never made it to that kind of deal, so we got rid of him. Same thing with Jarvis Landry. He never made it to that kind of deal, so we got rid of him. Let me show you the difference real quick. Jay Ajayi was going to warrant a big payday if he stayed in Miami. Do y'all see how that worked out? Jay Ajayi ended up going to Philadelphia, winning the Super Bowl on a committee, and then the payday wasn't there. But if he would have stayed in Miami and been our only Pro Bowl running back, he would have actually been worth $10, $11, $12 million had he not got hurt. So that's why I'm happy about the Jay Ajayi move in the past. But right now, this is a Devontae Parker move. So instead of offering Jay Ajayi this type of deal, we waited to get a guy like Jordan Howard to get that type of deal too. Instead of giving Jarvis Landry the deal, we waited for Devontae Parker to come about to give him that kind of deal. So Devontae Parker, 2-year, $10 million deal, proved himself, got an extension, wealthy man now. Jordan Howard, will he do the same? 2-year, $9.75 million, 1 year guaranteed. If he goes to the Pro Bowl this year, he's going to get a restructured deal, and the Miami Dolphins may look to give him even more money as the future back, being that he's 25 years old and that he can ride with this team for the next 3 to 4 years after this. He has the prime opportunity to be the guy in Miami. It's up to him to take advantage of it. And just to validate what I'm telling you all a little bit more, go look at the details of his contract. He has bonuses and incentives built into his contract. One of the main bonuses that he has is if he makes the Pro Bowl. If he makes the Pro Bowl, he gets an extra amount of money. I think $250,000. You don't even put incentives in like that unless you both already feel like this is probably going to be your starting running back next year. So, ladies and gentlemen, your starting back, even if we draft a running back in the first round, is probably going to be Jordan Howard, and this is the reason why. Hopefully that gets y'all to know him a little better. It gets you to know the type of player we have in Jordan Howard. It's not a miss on talent, ladies and gentlemen. He has all the attributes. He has all the skills necessary. It's just a matter of him facing his first real injury, and will he overcome that and come, because he came back, I believe, 1 game before the season ended, but at that point, his reps had already been spread out so thin. If I'm not mistaken, that's what happened. So I love this kid, man. Mr. Ballgame said at TDPHINSTALK, we didn't really do that though. Gase did it because he, Ajayi, and Landry were at odds. They knew Gase was full of crap, which is true. When you put the aspect of the Adam Gase relationship with those guys, I think that we were willing to actually give them a deal. But at the end of the day, they weren't the type of guys that they liked in the franchise anyway. So you're right in that example. But if those guys would have made it to this point, they would have gotten Devontae Parker or Jordan Howard type deals to prove it under this current. Like, just imagine us, Jarvis Landry and Ajayi, still being Dolphins and we didn't trade them. I believe that with the new regime coming in, obviously we probably would have traded them for assets. But if we didn't, they would get proven deals as well, because the new head coach isn't sold on it either. And then they would have been able to get the opportunity that Devontae Parker got. Because think about the money Landry got and Devontae Parker got. It ain't that crazy. But listen, guys, Jordan Howard, though, overall, I love this pick. This is actually one of the most under the radar picks that we made in this free agency. We talk about the defense because we did so many things on that side of the ball, but this Jordan Howard move is massive. It's a lot more massive than people are putting together. That's what I personally believe. Shout out to Ed Dowling says, so Howard has to make 1,000 yards this year. You know what? If we fix the offensive line the right way, that would be nice to see. If he does reach 1,000 yards this year, that means he's our primary back. But based off of his profile right now, it sounds more like he's a first and second down back, and that Ballage will be, or Laird would be relegated to the third down back. That's what I'm thinking at this point. But again, we got a rookie that might come into the picture as well to shake this up. But as we continue to go on with these running backs, we're going to get more and more information to understand our running back room and where everybody stands with it. Shout out to Riff Reaper with the donation, saying, how about them new Bucks jerseys, TD? Brady looking fresh. It's Brady, man. He going down this year. He ain't going to help y'all. I just put it like that, man. But welcome to TD FinStalk, homie. Darius Gilmore said, what's up, TD? Darius from Arizona. Shout out to you, Darius. Make sure you stand safe out there. I'm glad that you're tuning in, homie. But let's move forward, guys. After Jordan Howard, we have Kalen Ballage. Oh, my gosh. This is an interesting one, guys. I want y'all to pause for a second and just listen up. Don't beat him up too soon and don't praise him too soon either. Because, you know, TD, I'm not saying that I'm a Kalen Ballage advocate per se, but I do recognize where it's not 100% an individual's fault, so we can't put all the blame on him. Kalen Ballage did have one of the worst seasons in the NFL history at the running back position to have a certain amount of snaps. But in large part, it was due to one of the most abysmal offensive lines that there was in the NFL. And I have more data to prove that as we continue with some of these other backs. I actually, after doing my research, it painted a much clearer picture to understand that, listen, this O-line was bad. Nobody was able to run successfully with our O-line. Nobody. And we're going to talk about, there was actually, I apologize. Mark Walton was the only one that was able to pick up first downs and move the ball, move the sticks at a somewhat, not consistent, but somewhat more frequent basis than anyone else in the running back position. But let's go ahead and scout out Kalen Ballage, what they said about him coming out of college, because this is what's interesting. It's totally different. What they said about Kalen Ballage coming out of college is I see a lot of it, and then a lot of it I'm like, where has it gone? Okay? This kid, Arizona State, the 4th round. He was drafted in a round before our starter, before Howard. So 131st pick in 2018. The kid is still young. He played in 47 games over his career and he's from Peyton, Colorado, okay? A 3-down back who was underused and undervalued in college. This is what the scout said. A 3-down back, which I actually believe that he could be, just depend on this line, but there are factors that I am not happy about with Ballage. But the scouts say is a 3-down back who was underused and undervalued in college, quick in and out of his cuts, a physical specimen who combines power and speed, as skilled a pass receiver as he is a downhill hammer type runner, quick feet to slide into the hole, gets yards after contact, good running skills, instincts, and vision. Ran well at the combine for a big back, impressive at the Senior Bowl where his frame, athleticism, and versatility were on display all week. Was dominant in one-on-one pass catching drills. He's a LeGarrette Blount type bruiser, but with better hands and a better athlete. Interesting. He's a LeGarrette Blount type bruiser, but with better hands and a better athlete. Tough tackle to tackle. It's tough tackle to tackle. I think tough to tackle, but has the power and speed to run off tackles. Now, I'm going to pause right there before I finish reading this. I'm hearing all of this big. I'm hearing all this bruising. I'm hearing all this contact. I can't sit here and say that Ballage isn't a wrecking ball. But the problem we had last season he avoided showing us that he was a wrecking ball. It was more like he was trying to avoid contact rather than initiate it. Now, something like that has me actually skeptical. Is it just all a facade? But then I went to go look at some college tape of Kalen Ballage. And what I saw when I saw the college tape, the kid didn't shy away from contact. He enjoyed it. People tried to tackle him. He kept those legs moving, and he was a motor. He saw a hole. He made it happen. He ran the ball with purpose. But for some reason last year, it just looks like he was initially trying to avoid the contact. And a part of it looks like he was always trying to go for the home run. It's almost like he was trying to turn into King and Drake. You know, it's almost like he was trying to add a little King and Drake flavor to his game. Instead of going in there and bruising for the 2 or 3 yards, you want to try to make a fancy move, and now it's only 1, or in last year's case, -1. Now, again, we still cannot overlook the abysmal O-line, but I think that a lot of it is mental for Kalen Ballage, avoiding the contact that he did. I think that he got so used to being -2, -1, having no holes to run through, that when he actually did, he wanted even more. It's almost like he was playing a math game. Well, I finally got a hole. I need 20 yards on this instead of the 4 it looks like I can get, so let me take a chance. It's interesting to me. College bio in the film I watch, you are physical, but last year you would have never thought it nor even believed it. He literally was like a pacifier. But it also makes me wonder, y'all. Sometimes y'all have to think about it in other ways. And this doesn't mean this is correct. This is just a speculation for me. And listen again, TD is speculating. I always want to let y'all know when I'm just coming off the top of the head with some theory. But sometimes players that are hurt, they go through concussions or they're a little shooken up for whatever reason. They've been banged up a little and they're feeling a little odd. You know, I don't know if his body was finally reaching that the sophomore slump where he's getting reps now. He's the primary guy. He's putting in more work than he's ever put in. His body doesn't feel the same. Those things happen, guys. And I'm curious if he avoided a lot of contact because he was favoring something, not wanting to feel the bruise that he probably had on his body or something. And this is just speculation because it's just amazing to me. You don't build this bio of a characteristic of yourself and then all of a sudden you don't perform not even close to it. At least show some resemblance of it. And that's what got to me. So I actually look forward to this season. I look forward to the fact that he's gotten rest. He should have a sharp, healthy body. What type of product are we going to get in training camp? What type of product from Ballage are we going to? Because what you have to understand is the reason why he earned the starting position anyway and why it was easy to move on from Drake is because he was simply outshining Drake all training camp. And y'all know I'm not exaggerating here. He was outshining Drake. Drake wasn't the one getting the accolades in training camp. It was Ballage. First team reps, Drake with the second team most of the time. Oh, today Drake is with the first team, but he fumbled today. Coach made him do this or whatever it may be. He was doing better than Drake, so it was easier to move on from Drake. It was easy to try to get an asset for Drake at that moment. So Ballage, this season is going to tell us everything we need to know. This is his 3rd NFL season. This is the season that determines if we're going to be offering him a 4th year in that range of a contract. So this will be interesting. Let me continue to read what they said about him coming out of college. Has the talent to be a feature back. Needs to improve his pass protection blocking. That's interesting because I agree. In 2016, Ballage tied, and y'all listen to this. In 2016, he tied an FBS record by scoring 8 touchdowns in an overtime game, 7 rushing touchdowns, many from the shotgun formation, and caught 1 touchdown pass. He ran through Texas Tech like a hot knife through butter. Will also contribute as a kickoff return specialist. One moment, guys. My bad. Forgive me, guys. Will also contribute as a kickoff return specialist and ascending talent who needs to run with his chest over his toes. His projection is third or fourth round, and thus he went in the fourth round. Shout out to Quint Riddle with the donation. He said, then facts, I was at training camp watching. Hey, man, I appreciate the validation with the facts, man. I'm glad that you recognize that. Quint Riddle say he was at training camp. Drake was getting beat out by Ballage, man. He was making the plays. Every day, Ballage was ripping off a 40, 50-yard, 30-yard touchdown run against the defense. But this is what they said he was coming out of college, and that's what I thought we were getting. But in 2018, he had 36 carries for 191 yards, averaging 5.3 yards per carry, which was beautiful, and that's why I said he deserves more reps. And all of a sudden, it goes night and day. In 2019, he has 74 touches for 135 yards. He has double the touches and almost in less yards, 1.8 yards per carry for Kalen Ballage. Again, I think that this is a prime example of being a product of environment. And the staff is still high on Kalen Ballage. From everything we hear, our staff is still high on Kalen Ballage regardless. And they have every right to be. He has upside still in him. Not only that, we also know the issues that we have on the offensive line as well. When that offensive line gets fixed, it doesn't matter if we put Howard or Ballage in the game. I think you're going to see two backs that are making plays, guys. Now, his receptions must improve. I put that in there because I don't like how it's gone down. This was the kicker. This was the kicker with Ballage. Loving the fact that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's what I felt like he had an advantage and deserves more opportunity, especially in 2018, even though the sample size is low, but he was targeted 9 out of 11 receptions. He was targeted 11 times and he caught 9 of them, okay? 82% reception. And then all of a sudden in 2019, see, it's one thing if your rushing yards go down because the offensive line is trash. But don't let the reception percentage go down, because now you're taking away an element that we at least have to rely on if you're going to be more involved in the Miami Dolphins offense. Just my opinion, at least. Because in 2019, he caught 14 balls out of 24 targets from 82% all the way down to 58%. Just not good. Now, at that juncture, I'm fine with Ballage. I'm fine with Ballage making this roster. I'm fine with him being our back because I think he has a lot to prove, and he will prove the naysayers wrong, and he will be a very good piece for this offense. That was until he went on IR with an Achilles injury. Now he can come back fully healed and become the same Ballage, but now there's cause for concern. Even if it's 100% recovery and he looks the same, doesn't matter. You ended up the way that you ended up and had an injury to top it off like a cherry on top. Still doesn't write me off with Ballage, but now his value in camp becomes questionable because we have a deep room. We got Jordan Howard. We're probably going to draft another guy. He becomes questionable. The competition is everywhere, and contract is not favorable. And this year, he's only $300,000 dead cap. If they cut Kalen Ballage, he's only a $300,000 cap hit. We would save $600,000. That may not be much to some of you all, but that's another body to look at, bringing in another body. And next year, his dead cap is $150,000. And we would save $900,000 if we cut him next year. So I think that he makes the roster this year, and I think that he plays ball. But next year, if he doesn't give us the production, see, he's already gonna not fulfill becoming a. See, I think that they were hoping that he can turn a corner and start to look like a starter, and we still don't know that yet. But it just got harder bringing in Jordan Howard for him to actually eclipse that mark, barring any injury, which is possible. But now I think his view isn't starting; his view is competing to possibly start. But Jordan Howard has that position right now without even playing a snap in training camp. Just my thoughts. But Kalen Ballage didn't have to be your starter, guys. He can be right there behind Jordan Howard, giving us good production, thrown in on occasions on second down where it's 2nd and 8, and we just throw the other team off and still possibly run. Or if the defense is call a play where he's coming out of the backfield catching the ball, he still can add value to this roster and be a very dynamic piece. And feel good about if Jordan Howard was to go down, bumping him up to the starter. Because, again, I think that if we had the O-line last year, we would appreciate him so much more right now. That's just my take. So, final on Kalen Ballage. I believe at this juncture, we'll reevaluate after the draft, but he makes the team. He's the second back on the depth chart, even if we draft a running back once again, ladies and gentlemen, in the first round. Y'all may think I'm crazy on that, but I think Jordan Howard, Kalen Ballage, and whatever running back we drafted, even if it's the first round, that's what would happen. Because Kalen Ballage, that's a contract that's also favorable if he turns out to be an asset. Jordan Howard is really a 1-year guarantee. If the rookie that we draft in the first round, if we do, becomes a playmaker, then Jordan Howard, we're probably going to appreciate his services in year 1, and that rookie's going to be bumped up on the depth chart competing with Kalen Ballage in the future anyway. There's so many ways you can look at it, so many ways that you can slice it, so many scenarios, but this is where we stand with Kalen Ballage, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you know more about him, and I hope that you understand him as a player now, what he came from, what we see him as, what this organization knows him to be, and good luck to Kalen Ballage, man. I'm still rooting for him, and I still believe in him. All right, so moving right along to the intern. Oh, my gosh. Moving right along to the intern, Patrick Laird, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Laird, as a junior in college, this is what the scout said about him. In 2017, he played in 11 games and rushed 191 times for 1,127 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's his junior season, all right? Only 11 games and he had 1,100 yards. Pretty nice, man. 8 touchdowns. He received first-team Pac-12 all-academic honors. Now, that's academic honors. All Pac-12 honorable mention, and was named a semifinalist for the Burlsworth Trophy, which is awarded annually to the nation's most outstanding college football player who began his career as a walk-on. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Laird was a walk-on in college. And as a senior in 2018, he played in 11 games and rushed 97 times, for 816 yards and 5 touchdowns. So as a senior, his production did reduce with more carries, but still a solid season. Doesn't look like a day one jump out guy or anything like that, but he did a little bit of work in college that you can appreciate. All right. Laird was a finalist for the Burlsworth Trophy and the Senior Class Award his senior year as well. He also was named a semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy. While at California, Laird began a summer reading program inspiring over 1,000 elementary school teachers to read at least 4 books school students, not teachers, to read at least 4 books a summer. That's what's up, man. He already gets the check marks on his character, the things that he's a selfless person, obviously not thinking about himself and his future, but more so other people in their future. That's pretty beautiful just to read that about Patrick Laird, to know that. That's pretty cool, man. Hopefully when I meet him one day, I'll be able to talk to him about it. But obviously a good character guy, good stand-up guy. Obviously he's a worker. He works hard, and he's one of those stories where I'm coming from nothing, but I'm trying to make something. So anytime you get a player like that, coaches always are going to appreciate players like that, because they'll jump through a wall, they jump through a building, they run through hoops, fired hoops, whatever for you, and they're going to give their all. And if their all is good enough, then he belongs. So Patrick Laird, he went undrafted in 2019. Nobody took a chance on the kid, despite I understand coming from the Pac-10, but still, he did not get drafted in 2019, ladies and gentlemen. He gained the nickname, the intern, after being confused to be an intern during training camp. So he's in training camp. He's standing there with teammates and stuff, and he just looked like an intern. They didn't even know he was on the team. And I guess they were addressing him as such. So that's how he got the name. Laird scored his first touchdown in a 37-31 upset over the Philadelphia Eagles in week 13. That was this year, guys. He got his first touchdown of his NFL career in week 13 versus the Eagles. That was a monster game, too. That was a pretty huge game that we won. Now, do y'all remember Laird in that game? Did Laird ball out in that game, y'all? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Do y'all remember Laird in that Eagles game, man? Makes 53. I will admit I was wrong on the show. Plus 10. Man, listen. Chat don't like no one. Oh, not a good sign. Y'all let me know in the comment section. I'm trying to see what y'all thoughts. Did y'all enjoy Laird in that Eagles game? He did okay. I'm glad you said that, Kalen Knipp, because you know a lot of people, I've heard them like, oh, Laird, man, you remember what we went through this season. People were begging for Laird. When I looked at Laird's season this year, man, y'all would be shocked. Y'all would be shocked, man, what I came up with. We're going to go over it in a moment, okay? Overall, Laird finished 2019 with 62 carries for 168 rushing yards, 2.7 yards per carry, 1 rushing touchdown to go along with 23 receptions for 204 receiving yards. Listen, guys. This is what baffled me whenever people were calling for Laird to go over Kalen Ballage on the depth chart. It just wasn't warranted and it just wasn't fair, especially to Kalen Ballage. Unfortunately, and this isn't to knock Patrick Laird because I love what he's done to the team and I love that he works hard, but he did nothing special. People fell in love with Laird, especially the Eagles game, because he scored a late touchdown and he made a 2-point conversion as well. But outside of that, he barely put any stats up in that game. Let me go to it. I want to go to Pro Football Focus real quick. Show you all a little something about Laird's season. Now, don't get me wrong. I think when he first came in, he provided a spark for the team. But if you notice, he didn't play the first 8 games. Okay? Laird only played the last 8 games of the season, obviously, because Ballage was the guy. Mark Walton was behind him. So we understand that. But when you really look at his season, the first game he played 2 carries for 4 yards. Sound like Ballage. The next game, 1 carry for 7 yards. Sound like Ballage. The next game, 3 carries for 20 yards. No receiving at all in that game. The next game, 10 carries for 5 yards. He averaged half a yard a carry. So don't tell me this O-line wasn't abysmal. Please don't tell me the O-line wasn't abysmal. And then when you go to the miraculous last 4 games of the season, I don't know if y'all remember, but we weren't running the ball crazy. But at the same token, Ryan Fitzpatrick was in the shotgun about 80% of the time. We barely ever ran the ball. But now they finally give him a real workload. He has 15 carries for 48 yards. It's still only 3.2 yards a carry. Now, that ain't bad to me for the player that he is. But 48 yards in the game. 48 yards against the Jets, and we lost. It was 22-21. That sucks. We should have won that game. We should have won that Cincinnati game. And I think it was like one more that we definitely should have won that was pretty close. But that was his first productive game that said, okay, we got a little spark from him. I think we got 1 or 2 first downs. And he played 82% of the snaps in that game. In the very next game, he had 12 carries for 46 yards. 2 games that were decent, but again, we're talking about 48 and 46 carries. Not like he's the back of the future. But if you notice, he was also targeted about 5 times a game during that spurt, and caught about an average of 3 balls per game, which isn't bad, but it was only for about 7 yards per game, catching the ball out of the backfield. Honestly, these are non-productive numbers. And again, he gets the same excuse that Ballage gets for me, but I just want to make sure those who are calling for Laird over Ballage, we got to use the same energy. And then all of a sudden, in that Philly game, and guys, remember the Philly game is the game where he had his breakout game. It wasn't a breakout to me. I just think that he scored a touchdown, and that's what made everybody happy. And he scored a 2-point conversion. He ran the ball 10 times and only got 5 yards rushing in that game. He averaged half a yard per carry in that game that everybody raved about Patrick Laird. They didn't even look at the full picture. But I did love about the game, he caught the ball. He caught 4 catches for 43 yards. But remember, again, the last 5 weeks of the season, that was Fitzpatrick's shotgun time. We never ran an I formation. We handed the ball off out of the shotgun at that point. And that's why, even whenever we talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's why his game looked more structured. It wasn't more structured. He just had a greater opportunity. Early in the season, it was so bad, his numbers were terrible, but lucky him, it was a small sample size because they kept him off the field. Late in the season, all right, shotgun, halfback draw when we run and throw the ball when we don't. It's easier for Fitzpatrick. And then he has the ability to use his legs, which makes it even easier. So I think Fitzpatrick also benefited from the structure of how we ran the ball. The fact that we stopped doing it out of the I formation. We start doing it out of the halfback draw. And that way he can audible and we don't have to run the halfback and he just throw it or use his legs to run. So Patrick Laird ended the season with 11 carries, 21 yards in that game. In Cincinnati, 8 carries for 17 yards. He averaged 2.7 yards per carry on the season. Guys, it didn't matter. And he also benefited from running the ball out of the shotgun. I think that Patrick Laird's average per game would have been lower than Ballage's if they were still in the I formation or Fitzpatrick was under center. He benefited from the play starting in the shotgun. See, when you start in the shotgun, at least you can see the defense already beat the line of scrimmage when you're getting the ball handed off to you. At least the linebackers have to respect the throw on a shotgun play. And when they hand it off, at least you get 1 or 2 or 3 yards. So it's all working together. Patrick Laird benefited from the fact that we switched to a shotgun type style offense and ran the ball out of the draw. And then, but what I did like is that he did have 4 games that he had over 38 receiving yards. One of them was 51, one was 43, one was 38, and one was 48. I love that he had games of 100% receptions, 100% reception, 80% reception, 80% reception, 100% reception, 80% reception. See, that's why I'm not happy about Ballage. Not because of his running, but despite the running going down, at least do what your scouting sheet says, catch the ball out of the backfield. Laird has jumped you in that area. Laird has literally jumped you in that area, catching the ball out of the backfield, and that's why he became a lot more reliable. But at the same token, none of this probably would have ever happened if Ballage hadn't got injured in the middle of the season. Brian Flores been on record saying, and I quote, Ballage would have still been the starting back had he not suffered the injury. He wouldn't have been on IR. We wouldn't have put him on IR. If that injury would have happened in the beginning of the season, we probably wouldn't be putting him on IR, which means we expect him to come back and run the ball. So that's where I am with Patrick Laird, guys. Let me take this off the screen real quick. Yeah, that's what I have on Patrick Laird. And like I said, the competition is everywhere, but his contract isn't favorable. This year, he's $6,000 dead cap. Yes, not 60, not 600. Only $6,000 in dead cap. We'd save $672,000 if we were to release Patrick Laird. In 2021, if we kept him this year and thought about it next year, his dead cap is only $3,000, and we save $850,000 next year. Contract isn't favorable. He has to literally wow the coaching staff and literally be the third best back on the roster in order to make the roster. Unless we go with 4 backs, but I don't know if that'll be the case. We shall see, especially having Cox as the fullback. So that'll be interesting to see. Patrick Laird, his biggest competition is probably going to be Kalen Ballage, because if we do draft a rookie in the first or second round of this year's draft, that rookie's going to be on the 53-man. I'm very confident about that. So Patrick Laird is a situation where he's going to be battling it out with Ballage. And some of these other guys that are behind them, but we'll see how that turns out. But let's move right along, guys. And we have Myles Gaskin, guys. Coming out of Washington, was a 4-year starter, a career filled with accolades and school records. Gaskins finished all Pac-12 every year. The second player ever in NCAA FBS history to rush for over 1,200 yards all 4 seasons. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the dependable scat back proved he can handle the load, having missed just 2 games in his career. Impressive stat talk can go on and on and on all day. He simply doesn't have the straight speed or the frame that can stand out in the league. So this sounds like a guy who has everything except what many need: the speed and the body type, the frame. They also say he will have a hard time standing out in any one area in the pros, but he likely could fit the back end of a depth chart and offer third down possibility. That's crazy when your scouting report says the best that you're going to amount to is pretty much filling the back end of a roster. So in other words, he can run the ball, he can play running back, but when you look at all the athletes in your room, he's not going to stand out. He got the skills, he can get the job done, but he still doesn't stand out. He doesn't have that thing about him like the rest of the guys that says, man, I love how he does this, I love how he does that. He's just a good running back, but he doesn't stand out in the room. And that's why it's going to be even harder for him to make the roster, because if that continues, he's going to have to do something in his game that makes him stand out. All right. They also say that he's stutter step runner with excellent jump cuts into vertical bursts, good decision maker combined with plus vision, allows his blocks to develop, but will pounce on the first crease he finds, can make himself small and slippery with subtle twists and turns of his torso while keeping his hips square, hard worker with the blue collar approach and captain mentality. I like that, leadership. Small frame that appears maxed out, that also plays small. See, the bad part about it. Lacks presence on contact with defenders, won't fall forward enough. Oh, that's a disaster in the NFL. Won't fall forward or not. Speed and adjustments have a slight hitch. Burst and explosive change of direction isn't there. Needs the extra step or two. Impact as a blocker is minimal at best. He's just his body. Compiled over 1,000 touches in college. His 2018 stats: 1,268 yards, 4.9 per carry, 12 touchdowns, 21 receptions for 77 yards, 3.7 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. He was projected to be a 7th-round player, ladies and gentlemen. And he was picked in the 7th round, pick number 234 in the 2019 draft. Gained a little momentum late in the season, guys. Gaskins did gain a little momentum late in the season this year. When you look at his numbers, which I didn't pull up, he gained a little momentum. And he also scored his first NFL touchdown, just like Patrick Laird just earlier. But his season ended with an ankle injury in week 16. See, Gaskins never got his shot anyway until, remember, he doesn't stand out in the room. So when you got Drake, Ballage, Laird, Mark Walton, all in the running back room, and they trade away Drake, yeah, Gaskins' stock goes up, but you still got Ballage, Mark Walton, Laird, sitting there in the room. And since you don't stand out in that room and you don't fall forward and you're just a small guy that can run the ball, you're always last to be seen. So the only thing that gave him an opportunity this season was the fact that Ballage went down. Then it was the Mark Walton game. Still didn't get any love. Mark Walton has issues again. Now it's the Patrick Laird game, and now Myles Gaskin is in the fray. He gets a few reps. And he actually gained a little momentum, guys. It wasn't off the charts, but he actually ran the ball well for the Miami Dolphins. Scored his first touchdown. I would actually say he looked like he had a higher upside than Patrick Laird when you put all the data together. But it doesn't help when you get your NFL opportunity and you have an ankle injury in week 16. And all you got is week 17 left, and it still doesn't matter because you don't play. He's in an unfavorable contract situation, but favorable contract structure. The way that his contract is structured is basically saying we're paying this guy peanuts in NFL terms. It's a lot to me, but we're paying this guy peanuts, and we got him under contract for at least 2 to 3 more years. So let's continue to develop him. His contract doesn't hurt us. We don't have to make a decision now. And on top of it, I kind of like what he did when he did get a little shot. Unfortunately, had an ankle injury that he probably would have made it back in the season, but it happened during week 16. So again, unfavorable contract situation because they can cut the contract and don't feel hurt about it, but also a favorable contract structure where he isn't pressing the team every year for money and we have to decide whether we want to cut him or not. He's making a little bit of money, or some of the league, like almost league minimum, okay? He signed through 2022, less than $1 million for every single season. So 2020 less than $1 million, 2021 less than $1 million, and 2022 is less than $1 million on the contract. All right. I personally believe he will get an opportunity, but won't be easy. And that opportunity is just going to come in camp. Again, just like Laird, you got to stand out. And he has a history of not standing out. He has a history of it. So does he have some value in the trade market? I don't even believe that either. But that's why you don't have to make a decision on a guy like that right now because his contract is favorable. In worst case scenario, you could always utilize him on the practice squad because he's fresh in this league and he has that eligibility. So that's Myles Gaskin for you guys. Hopefully you learned a lot more about him. But good luck to Myles Gaskin, man. He definitely has a hill to climb with the addition of Jordan Howard. It's not going to be easy. Maybe another practice squad guy unless he comes and shocks us because they're going to make the running back room even harder if they draft the back. All right, but moving on, guys. Now, the one that most of us forgot. Samaje Perine, okay? Oh, let me back up. I'm going too far. Samaje Perine out of Oklahoma started 30 games over 3 years and became the Sooners' all-time leading rusher with 4,122 yards. That's impressive, ladies and gentlemen. Muscled up from head to toe, rare lower body size and strength. Not easy to tackle. Always going forward, gaining an extra yard. See, this is the guy right here that makes them say, oh, Gaskins is a camp body. We'll put him on practice squad. I mean, his Samaje Perine's bio, the first 2 bullets already, this is why a guy like Gaskins can't stand out in the running back room, unfortunately. All right, moving along. He's not easy to tackle, rare lower body size and strength, always going forward, gaining an extra yard. Good downhill acceleration, runs with his chin over his toes, drives his legs through contact. He's a next-level blocker. Now, that's what got me interested in Perine. Hearing that he's a next-level blocker, Flores, I know he loves that. I know that Chan Gailey's going to love that. That is huge for any running back, next-level blocker. He will stick to defenders with a face-up hit and sustain his block. Ain't scared of contact, straight up, not bracing. Because these guys that brace the block, if the defender makes a move, then it's a whiff. They whiff on the block because they're bracing for the contact instead of face up, going into it, engaging, locking it in, not disengaging. And I like that. Hey, I'm telling you, These are the attributes that if he brings to Miami, he might find himself on this depth chart pretty high. Now, he did not catch a lot of passes, but showed enough that he will be a factor on the next level. Soft and easy hands. A power runner who struggles to change directions and burst past a defender in the open field. So he doesn't have that agility, that change of direction type speed. It sounds like power. Blocker. Play action threat. That's what this sounds like. Takes a lot of hits due to his running style. Lacks the speed to turn the corner. Yeah, he's a downhill guy. He's not the guy to beat you to the edge. So obviously this is your bruiser up the middle. His production steadily declined each season, partially because of injuries and partially because of the emergence of teammate Joe Mixon. It's easy to get hurt and give Joe Mixon more reps, and Joe Mixon become that guy. So that's actually a plus for Samaje. I can see if you got passed up by King and Drake, but you got passed up by Joe Mixon, and because you were hurt. So I understand that whole mix. So, every running back comes to a point, they just have to make a decision. Do they move on and go with Joe Mixon or keep the tandem or go with Perine? They went with Mixon. Let me see. Perine has had the NFL body since his freshman season in college, y'all. His power and strength between the tackles will be NFL ready week 1. Protects the ball well, blocks well, and has top-tier intangibles. You know what you're getting. Limited but effective in right role. 2016 stats were 1,060 yards, 5.4 per carry, 12 touchdowns, 10 receptions, 106 yards, 10.6 yards per reception with 1 touchdown, and was projected a 4th or 5th round pick. And he went in the 4th. He went on the upside of his value at pick 114. 114, ladies and gentlemen, the middle of the 4th. In 2017. Now, Perine being a 4th round pick, he was thrown into the fire as a rookie right away. They started him 8 times. He had 175 carries for 603 yards and averaged 3.4 yards per carry. Now, that isn't superior, but it's not bad. A rookie coming in, able to average 3.4, 8 starts, that's good exposure early on. He proved, though, ineffective at breaking tackles and put the ball on the ground far too often for Redskins head coach Jay Gruden's liking. Excuse me, it sounds like a fumbler here. In his 2nd season, Perine made the team, but was hardly active on game day. He played in just 5 games and registered 32 rushing yards for the season. Hello, Adrian Peterson. Then they brought in Adrian Peterson, and obviously, guys, the rest is history. If they bring in Adrian Peterson and you are already on a decline with the franchise, you're done. So that's where Miami Dolphins came into the picture. But he was signed when Myles Gaskin got hurt, guys. This wasn't a pickup in free agency this year. This wasn't a pickup like, hey, let's go trade for this guy or get this guy. Myles Gaskin went down in less than 24 hours, I believe, that Samaje Perine was in the building. So here's another back that's going to be competing at camp. But don't forget, he was Myles Gaskin's replacement since we lost him in the season. And it's going to be tough sledding, man. It's going to be hard for him to make a name for himself. He did come into this league in 2017. Not even sure if he's eligible for the practice squad. Listen, he has a non-guaranteed contract. If he doesn't make this team, we're going to be saving $825,000, guys. None of it's guaranteed. It's just a this-year contract. Good luck to Samaje Perine. My take is it doesn't look like he's going to actually be a guy who's going to make this starting 55. But good luck. That's what you got training camp for. Who knows? Sometimes you just need a new atmosphere, a new scheme, and you can be Wonder Boy. Good luck, Samaje Perine, rooting for you. But the room is deep, homie. So you're going to have to come with your A game every single week. All right? Now, last running back, the 6th running back for the Miami Dolphins is running back Delance Turner, ladies and gentlemen. Turner began his collegiate career at Copiah Lincoln Community College and named MACJC first team All-State after leading the team with 600 rushing yards as a sophomore. 600 rushing yards, y'all. Turner transferred to Alcorn State for his remaining 3 years of collegiate eligibility. As a senior, Turner rushed for a school record 1,357 yards, the second most in the FCS, and 10 touchdowns, and earned first-team All-SWAC and third-team AP FCS All-American honors. Pretty good, especially with the level of competition playing in the SWAC. He finished his collegiate career with 2,121 rushing yards, fifth highest in school history, and 15 touchdowns. Now, I know I'm reading a lot of good things, but this isn't like jumping out the gym stats, but it's if you understand the context of the school he went to, the league, the FCS that he's playing in, this is actually no just brush off. These aren't brush off numbers, guys. Turner signed with Baltimore Ravens as an undrafted free agent. So coming into this league, he's undrafted. It's Ink Ravens boy, man, with the Ravens. All right. He was a free agent. He was waived on September 1st, 2018, and was signed to the practice squad the next day. So he basically went right into being in the practice squad. Turner was promoted from the practice squad to the active roster on September 12th, 2018, after running back Kenneth Dixon was placed on IR. Another IR situation, in comes the practice squad guy. He made his NFL debut on September 13th, 2018, against the Cincinnati Bengals, playing on special teams. No carries, but special teams play. But in week 4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he recorded a 4-yard rush and a 10-yard reception. Ran the ball for 4 yards and had a 10-yard reception. He was placed on injured reserve on October 13, 2018 with the hamstring injury. Add the injury on top, Turner was waived during final roster cuts on August 31st, 2019, and re-signed to the Ravens practice squad the next day. On November 5th, 2019, the Miami Dolphins signed Turner off of Baltimore Ravens practice squad. And obviously that was in November because we were having a lot of running back issues. Ballage, I believe, went down or something around that time. We had the Mark Walton situation. He was no longer on the team. It just got bad for us at the running back position. So practice squad, basically here, this is what you get into Lance Turner, okay? A guy who's going to end up being on the practice squad, or he's going to be a shocker. And what I mean by that, if he's not on the practice squad and he makes the 55-man roster, we will all be shocked out of this world. Ain't a single person in this comment section shouldn't be shocked. I would be highly impressed, but that's how far he has to climb with all those other guys in front of him. Money not on his side with zero guarantees. We signed him last year, paid him like 200 and something thousand. He got his money, but this year, the money that he's due is none of it's guaranteed. We just signed him to a contract. Now he got to make the team to actually get money outside of what he'll be getting in camp. Now, camp will either make or break with no real expectations. And that's just where I stand with it. I don't have real expectations for Lance Turner right now. But at the end of the day, you never know, man. The guy's going to get his opportunity. Good luck to you, to Lance Turner. We don't know what his future holds, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it, guys. There you are. Meet your new running back room, okay? You have Lance Turner, Samaje Perine, Myles Gaskin, Patrick Laird, Kalen Ballage, Jordan Howard, and that is your running back group, guys. That is your addition of running backs, getting to know them with the Miami Dolphins. Hopefully that educated you all a little bit more of what we have on this roster at this time, how that's going to play out. It's going to be interesting, guys. Right now, the running back room is loaded. We have 6, and for some reason, and we're also looking to add 1 or 2 in the draft. So we could be going into camp with 7 or 8 running backs, ladies and gentlemen. Facts. I believe it's going to be 7, but 7 running backs going into camp, just not good. First team reps going to about 2 guys. Then you got 2 guys getting second team reps and everybody else playing on the scout team. It's going to be pretty tough in camp to make a name for yourself. But that's how I like it. We have options. Nobody feels safe. Nobody feels safe. Patrick Laird has to make sure Myles Gaskin, Samaje Perine, Delance Turner doesn't come and leapfrog him. He has to leapfrog Kalen Ballage himself. Kalen Ballage has to make sure that he's competing with Jordan Howard, that Patrick Laird doesn't jump him, and whoever we draft doesn't show up day one and just erase him. Everybody has to be concerned. Jordan Howard has to worry about the rookie coming in if we get one early in the rounds, or Ballage proving more to him in camp. It's competition everywhere. This is the way you want the room. We got this one right, ladies and gentlemen. This is TD Phins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans, and those are your running backs. If you want to check me out tonight on Dolphinatics with Josh Ferris, it'll be starting in about 15 minutes. They're going to have Richmond Webb and OJ McDuffie on the show. I'm going to get an opportunity to talk to those guys. It'll be live on Facebook, so come on over, check us out. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Next up, as you all can see, let me show y'all. Next up, we're going to have the wide receivers, ladies and gentlemen. The wide receivers. So the next part of the series, we're going through all the wide receivers on this roster. That's going to be pretty tough. I may have to give that one because I've already started it, but I'll have to give that one to you probably on, it's Wednesday now, Friday morning or something, because tomorrow I have some news. I want to do some other shows. I want to talk about this Tua failing physicals with teams. I can't wait for this one. I want to see what some individuals have to say about this one. Don't worry, it's coming, guys. It's coming. A GM reported that Tua Tagovailoa failed physicals with 2 different teams. Oh my gosh, I want to see. I got to read more into it to get more facts on it before I speak on it. But that's what's happened. That's the word out here. So I'm gonna read up on it, and once I get the information, I'll be live. So who knows? I might go live late tonight for it because I may not can wait. Oh man, that's funny though. If this is true, oh my gosh, I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. But anyway, this is TD Phins Talk. I got to get ready to go on the other show with Josh Ferris on Dolphinatics. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. Love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all helping TD Phins Talk grow every day. Share the video. Let your friends and family members know about the channel. It's TD Phins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Peace in the East. We is the AFC East. Man, I'm going to have to stop rhyming, man. I'm going to retire from the bars.